Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Connie Douglas, and this is That's Fancy. Uh, what I meant to say, actually, I guess, is I'm Connie Douglas from Great Stamping with Connie. Hopefully, some of you are getting to know that, and you've looked me up. Perhaps you've even joined my mailing list, and I thank you for doing that. If you are not on my mailing list, you can go over to greatstampingwithconnie.com, and there will be an opportunity to sign up for my mailing list. And then you'll get notified of everything, all the events that I run and everything that I'm doing, whether I'm going live on Facebook or whether I have a Zoom event. I do mystery stamping, I do card classes, lots of things going on. So I hope that you will sign up for that, and then perhaps join me for some of these fun events. We craft, we laugh, we joke. I make mistakes. I try to fix them. I show you how you can fix them. There aren't really any mistakes in crafting. It's all just about opportunities. And if you get some ink in a bad spot, it's usually where the gem goes. So I am just going to take a peek and see what we have going on over here. See if I can get this all working tonight. Technology is not always kind to me, I must say. Oh, look there. Oh my gosh, look, we got a house full of people tonight. Well, we got a few of you here anyway. Hello, Jeannie and Donna and Mary, and welcome. Thank you all for stopping in. I will tell you, if my mouth doesn't work too well tonight, today was my first day as a ski instructor for the season. It was crazy busy. I don't know where all the people came from. Crazy busy. Anyway, I'm exhausted. I had private lessons all day long, and it was just one after the other, boom, 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 which was great. It made the day go fast, but it's the first day I've really been on the hill all day as well this season. So anyway, we will get there. So I am just going to send us down to the bottom here. There we go. It's getting focused, and we are going to get started with some crafting. So tonight we are going to get a little bit fancy with some blending brushes. Don't know if you have had an opportunity to get some blending brushes and to give them a try. They are a ton of fun. I will warn you, they can be kind of addictive once you get going and you try some different colors, but anyway, they are lots of fun. So we're gonna have a little bit of a play with these tonight. So I'm gonna I'll say I'm going to start slow. How's that? I'm gonna bring in a piece of thick basic white cardstock, and I am just going to fold it in half, and we're going to do our blending and adding color right onto the card base tonight. Okay, so there is my card base ready to go, and I'm starting with just two colors. I have Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. So they're both purple. One is just going to be darker than the other, and that's okay. So I'm going to start with the Highland Heather, the lighter color. And I have a small piece of paper here, but I think I'm just going to grab a larger piece and stick it underneath here. Okay, and then we will be good to go. So I am going to take my blending brush, and I'm holding it down near the bottom just because I have a lot of control then. You can hold it further back near the end. It will give you a lighter touch because you can't push as hard on it. So if you want to push harder down here, it's going to give you that kind of control, or lighter, wherever you feel comfortable. So I'm just going to swirl this around in the ink, and then you just want to give it a little tap and sort of get any loose ink off, and then you're going to start to swirl, and you're just going to swirl onto your cardstock, and it's going to start out quite light, and the color will get darker as you go over it more frequently. I'm just adding in some light color, and I'm going all over my card base. There are light spots, and that's okay. When we come in with the Gorgeous Grape, we will fill some of those in. And the Highland Heather will get a little bit darker as we go over it. I tend to start with the light color, and then I will add some of my darker color, and then I often go back and fill in with a little bit of the light color again. And we could even add in maybe some Blackberry Bliss for just a little bit of really dark accent color. I can just grab that. I didn't get it out, but I have it right here. So I got Blackberry Bliss at the ready as well. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to bring in my Gorgeous Grape. Gorgeous Grape, of course, is going to give us a darker purple, and you can see that right away that that is starting to show up darker. And I'm just going to fill in some of these light areas, leaving some of the darker areas. And again, with this, there is no right or wrong. It's just kind of wherever your brush takes you with your swirls. Okay. And you can, if you end up with some sort of swirl marks, if you just keep going over it, they will even out a little bit more. I'm going to go back to my Highland Heather and just bring in a little bit more of that in some of these areas. So you just kind of keep playing with it until you end up with something that you think looks kind of the way you want it. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Now, before I decide to add my darkest color, I'm just going to take a look at what I was thinking I was going to do with this card. So I have used the Flower Market die to cut out the die from Just Jade cardstock. Okay, so I was thinking I would just put this down onto here. So I'm just sort of looking, going, that's awfully light. I think I would like a little bit more color than what the Highland Heather and the Gorgeous Grape have given me. The Gorgeous Grape is nice. It's got some nice purples coming. But I think I just want some more of that. So I'm just going to set that to the side and just make sure I'm working with the right color. This is Highland Heather and this is Gorgeous Grape. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to go back over the Gorgeous Grape area and I'm making it quite a bit darker, you can see. Hope everybody's week is getting off to a good start. It's Monday and we're into the final countdown to Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas and you're not ready, you're running out of time, myself included. This being the first week of work, I knew it was going to be busy. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have so many things yet that I want to do. But you know what, it's Christmas and it all just kind of gets done and it works out. And so I'm hoping my daughter and her fiance will be joining us for Christmas dinner, but I'm hearing of more and more families whose Christmas dinner plans are getting set aside with unfortunately the way the COVID numbers are going. But hopefully everyone can get together with their families for Christmas, at least some of their family. So Jeannie, I know you had a big crowd at Thanksgiving. I'm assuming you don't have to host a big crowd at Christmas again. So that would hardly be fair. So now when I set it down, there's a little bit more color there. So as soon as you put the green over top though, the purple kind of fades away. So maybe we'll just come in with a little bit of, what do you think, some Blackberry Bliss? Shall we put, I'm gonna do some of this, and I'm working on yellow paper, so that's not really fair. It's quite different looking. I'm a little concerned about maybe mixing Blackberry Bliss with Gorgeous Grape. Not, this is a much more of a red purple, almost, I mean, it's definitely purple when you use it, but it's towards a burgundy kind of purple almost. So maybe we'll just go back and we'll add in more of the gorgeous grape. Now, you may have noticed that I'm using the same brush and I didn't really clean it off or anything. I didn't wash it. I didn't use my Stampin' Scrub. With the blending brushes, you don't have to. You can just rub it on your paper. You will get a lot of the excess. Sorry. Wow. I didn't realize that wiggled so much for you. I hope I haven't made anyone nauseous out there with all the wiggling and jiggling I was probably doing. But you just rub the excess ink off on your paper, and then you're good to use it on different colors. Now, what I decided to do when I got them was that I was going to have one for each color family. So I don't know if you can see. There we go. I have put just a little purple strip. It is actually, it's off of the case. So one of these strips goes on the end with your name, and one of the strips goes in here so you can see your color. And then I just cut half of a strip from here, and I have wrapped it around the handle so I know that this is my purple brush. Does become fairly obvious once it's been used, but some of them are a little tricky to tell. The red and the pink sometimes don't look too different, and so I just I wrapped that around there so that I could see that and see the difference. Okay, so let's come back in here, and now we have quite a bit of color. So that is looking like it's got lots of color, and you can see my flowers are different shades, so it just kind of makes an interesting sort of look. So I'm going to close up my ink pads. Either nobody's saying anything or my comments are not working. I'm not sure which. I don't see any thumbs up or any hearts or any comments. So hopefully I haven't lost everybody. But okay, so I'm going to get this piece of paper out of the way for now, just because it's kind of inky. And I have a piece of Highland Heather cardstock that I'm going to stamp a sentiment on. And I have pulled out the stamp set Blossoms in Bloom. Okay. So this is a fun stamp set, but there's some wonderful nice sentiments on there. Pretty standard stuff, all your basics. Happy birthday, thinking of you, thank you, hello. So there's some great stuff on there. And so I have pulled out Thinking of You, and I am going to stamp that with my gorgeous grape ink. Put that up there and get this on here, and it will be my goal to get it fairly straight. I'm not going to worry about it too much because I am going to punch this. You have to love punches. They help you fix. Now look at that. That's like a perfect sentiment, stamped straight down in the corner, everything. And it's perfect because I didn't need it to be perfect. Isn't that what Murphy does? He's Murphy's Law says, but that's okay. It's always good practice to make a good stamped sentiment, even if you are going to punch it out, where you could correct some misalignments or if it was crooked. So I am using the double oval punch, and I am just going to punch this around here. You always want to stamp first and then punch. I kind of did this, usually I do this on a little strip of paper because now I'm going to have a purple background, which is okay. Maybe I can use that on another card. But if you do stamp your sentiment on a strip, then when you punch, this top punch just punches into air so that you don't end up with this, because let's face it, we all know where these go, right? These go in the bits and pieces bin on our desk, and then we have to do a bits and pieces class to use them up because we get so many of them sitting around. Okay, and I realized I forgot my gorgeous grape cardstock. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. You can't see me, but I am moving back through the craft studio to get a piece of gorgeous grape. Grab that. Okay, I'm back. Here's the gorgeous grape. And this time we do want this top part to punch, but we don't need the bottom part. So this one works out perfectly. And then I am just going to adhere this for now. I'm going to put this down on here flat. We will pop this up on our next layer with dimensionals. There we go. Now to put this on, I didn't use adhesive sheets on this one. I did use adhesive sheets for the next one that I was planning on doing, but this one has fairly large areas, so it'll be easy enough to get our liquid glue onto this, assuming I can get the lid off the liquid glue. So I am just going to go around the edge on this. And when you are using this liquid glue, if you haven't used it too often, a little goes a very long way. So I always tell people to be very stingy with this glue because you don't need a lot. It is super sticky. And so if you put too much on it, it will ooze out. And although it dries clear, it also dries shiny. So you really don't want to have a lot of excess. So I'm just hitting some of the larger areas with just a little dab of glue here and there. But for the most part, this is going to be held down just at the edges. And then I have some in the center of most of the flowers as well. So that will hold it all in place. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in and put this right over the whole card front. Okay, just want to get that secured a little bit, and then it's I always like to turn it over and do a really good press from the back. Hey Jen, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you, kind of sort of in a in a Facebook sort of way. Okay, we've just been playing with the blender brushes a little bit, and did the first one in with Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather. So we're just finishing off this card. Just get a couple of dimensionals going on this so we can get this popped up. And you could put something larger on here. I just happen to want to use these sentiments, so they're not huge. I could have cut them, I guess, with a little larger puncher with one of my dies. But this way, lots of the flower will show, and that's kind of what I was after. So what do we think? Near the top, near the bottom? I think I'm going to put it near the top because I was also thinking just because because I worked all day and I can't talk well. Here's my next challenge. Can I tie a bow well on camera? Here we go. Yes, we're going to give it a shot. See what we get. So far, so good. Are you all ready for Christmas, Jen, in your usual organized kind of sort of way that make us all jealous? I've been to retreats with Jen where she stamps out all these Christmas cards, and it's like, my gosh, it's only the fall and you look like you're so prepared already. I know lots of people probably do that. I'm not always one of them. I mailed I think what I believe is the last of my Christmas cards today. When I left for work this morning, I asked Steve to make sure they got in the mailbox this morning because they really need to start moving through the system. So hopefully they get there close to Christmas. I will see you soon. Well, I would love to see you soon, Jen. She's going to share any details. Okay, so I've just put a couple of glue dots onto here, and I'm just going to kind of roll them down under so that they're right under the knot and they're not sticking out with any extra sticky bits. And then we'll just put this right down onto there. There we go. And there's our card. It was not really, oh, not you a card. Oh, well, I would love to see a card, but it'd be even better to see you. Oh, well, we'll settle for a card. And here's a card. Not really very difficult to make. If you have a die cutting machine with Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and you have this die, it's what makes things really fancy. It does all the heavy lifting on the fancy card thing, but the rest of it was very easy to make. Well, thank you. Look at those hearts. I'm glad you liked this card. Okay, let's move on. This time we're going to bring in a couple of different colors. I have 3 colors this time, and I have Blushing Bride, Soft Sea Foam, and Old Olive. So we're going to put those together. We're going to do it in a very similar way, right on the card base. You can do this on a whole 8.5 by 11 card or piece of cardstock and do a whole sheet, and then you can use that to cut up like designer series paper. You can do it right on your card base as we're doing. You can do just small pieces, and you don't have to sponge over the whole area. I am sponging the whole card front because I'm covering the whole card front. But you could just choose to sponge just a little highlight kind of area. The possibilities really are endless. And when there's no rules and there's no boundaries on this, and that's why I said it can become a little bit addictive. You start doing one thing and you think, oh well, I could do this, I could do that, oh, I could put this color with that color, and oh look, I won't use that piece because that has some people's addresses on it. They probably don't want that going on camera. Here we go, new piece of paper. Okay, so I am going to start with my Soft Sea Foam, and I'm just tapping and rubbing this in here. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of excess ink, and then I'm just going to start adding some color. So you're going to spend any time at the cottage over the Christmas holidays, Jen? I know you said you were kind of packing it up for the winter, but Christmas might be a little different, maybe. I don't know. Somebody asked me if I was going to my cottage for Christmas. It's like, no, I don't have 3 days to try and get it warmed up. My cottage is really not winterized, and there's no water, and it's okay. Steve did put a fireplace insert in last fall, so we would be a little better on the heat, but I am working all through the holiday season, so we're not going to the cottage, and that's okay. We don't go up in the winter, and then in the spring it's all exciting to get back up there again. So there's a little bit of Soft Sea Foam. You're all closed for the winter too. Yes, well, you know what? It's not a bad thing because then you have something to look forward to in the spring. And I know you have a couple teenage girls. I'm sure your life is very busy in the city. So it's sometimes it's tough to get everything fit in as it is. Never mind adding other trips to the cottage and such. So we had a few others on with us at the beginning, Jen. I don't know whether they're just, being the strong silent type or whether they've left us. I can't actually see number of people anymore. Looks like there's still 3, but I'm not sure how many my devices show as. So anyway, we're just going to continue on here. So this is Blushing Bride that I'm adding in, and I'm pretty much filled up the whole card, but that's okay because I'm just going to come in with the Old Olive afterwards as a bit of a highlight. So, oh, a new kitchen. Woo-wee. And plan to be there. Oh, next winter. Well, there you go. Something to look forward to. So new kitchen, is that that's at the cottage? New kitchen anywhere. Always exciting and fun. I don't know. Something about being the chief cook and bottle washer or something. Oh, there's Donna. She's still here. Oh, glad you're still here, Donna. But new kitchens are always exciting. We tend to spend a fair amount of time in the kitchen, don't we? And when it's new and fresh and designed efficiently, it makes spending time there even better. So I'm just coming in with little bits of the Old Olive here. I just giving a little bit darker accent in a few places, but not spreading it around as much. Okay, so before we close everything up and move on, we will bring in our piece again as we did last time, but this time I have used the Potted Succulents die. So I don't know. Oh yes, I guess you can see that quite well. So we've got all these succulents, and that was why I chose the green and the pink. It's a lot of pink under some of those, and if you want it truly just the tips pink, then you would want to be working more with your daubers than your brushes. But I think we'll just maybe put a little more green and a little less pink on in some of these areas. Hello, Lorna. Thanks for joining us. Glad you could stop in tonight. So we're just playing with blending brushes right now. We had a little more pink than we wanted, we thought. So, well, I thought. I guess I didn't really give you guys a chance to have a say, did I? Okay, so I'll put this back on top and see what we think. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking that's looking that's looking pretty good. I'm kind of liking the way this is looking. So I think I'm going to stop there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. Eh? So you're right, Lorna. Blending brushes are fun. We've been talking about how you can, once you get going on them, you start to think about different color combinations that you can do and different patterns you can make with them. We've covered the whole card base in ours. So I'm just rubbing these brushes onto my scrap paper just to get a little bit of the excess ink off. But again, you can see that I have a green brush that I've put this little green strip on, and a pink brush that has the pink on it. So I'm not too worried about getting all of the color out of these. Even if you were to use these and then mix it into a very different color, it really won't transfer the color. So you can use them in different colors. You can also wash them. If you wash them, you just want to be very careful that you let them dry thoroughly before you use them, because if they are wet, they will not work properly. They will not pick up your ink properly. They will not give you a nice blend with your ink. So you can go ahead and wash those just with like a mild dish soap or something, but then you do need to make sure they are very dry before you use them. Okay, so I have a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock, And I think we're going to bring in the Old Olive ink again. And look, see, remember to get cardstock for my sentiment. But again, I did not remember to bring cardstock to stamp the frame. But maybe we'll just do this one with the bigger punch, and we won't actually put it on a frame. How's that? Kind of fancy. Oh, yeah, okay. All righty. I think that will show up okay on there. Let's get this cleaned off and get this closed up. And we will bring in the punch. So this time I'm using the same double oval punch, but this time I'm going to punch it with the top one. So it's a scallop punch right away. There we go. Okay, so we're ready for some assembly. So this die cut is very thin, as you can see. So it's really kind of difficult and tricky to get glue on it. Now you can again put glue around, just around the edge, and hold it down there. There aren't any loose edges in here, so you don't actually have to glue this all down. But I did put some of our adhesive sheet on the back of this. So when I pull this off, this is going to be one great big sticker. At least that's the plan. Yes, okay, so this just peels off. So I put this onto my cardstock before I ran it through my cut and emboss machine. This is actually kind of pretty too. Very thin. And not sure how easy that would be to work with. Then you'd have to worry about how you're gluing that down. But maybe we'll just stick with our sticker here. Is this upside down? Does this have an upside down? I'm not sure. They seem to go both ways. This guy's facing up. This guy's kind of facing down, up, sideways. I don't know. We're just going to stick with the way we had it initially. And so I am just setting that down right over top of my card base. Get it all. Uh-oh, I kind of missed. Uh-oh, I kind of missed. Okay, well, you know, it's a handmade card. That's kind of what happens. I don't. Oh, maybe we can get it off. Okay, so we're going to try and fix this. Okay, I'm going to try standing over top of it a little bit more this time. So I'll try to keep my head out of the camera, but it's definitely easier when you're over top of your project. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's just a little bit down at the bottom that we might need to trim a little bit, but I think that's a whole lot better. Oh dear. And I seem to have lost a camera. Didn't I? What happened? What happened to this? What's it say here? Oh, it's telling me it's recording or something. Are we back? Let me just put this back onto Spotlight. Oh, and now it's sideways. Oh my. It's a technology kind of night again. Okay, I'm careful, people. I don't want to make anybody seasick, but we are just going to take this off. There we go. Hopefully it has flipped and it stays, and we can get everybody back in the picture. Okay, I think we did it. And so now we're ready for the big reveal. There we go. Need to put our sentiment on. And so again, I'm going to pop it up with some dimensionals. Okay. That's so funny. Yeah, see, at the beginning, Lorna, I talked about how on these nights we craft, we create. Sometimes we make mistakes, like I did the first time here. Sometimes we fix mistakes. Sometimes I do ridiculous things and you guys get to laugh at me. So there you go. There's your chance to laugh at me. Sometimes it just goes like that, doesn't it? I'm just going to put that right down there. And then what do we want? Maybe some gems for this. Do we think? What do we got for gems? Or, oh, I pulled these out because I was thinking maybe something, these actually might work. So I have some opal rounds because they have sort of a green and a pink speckly sort of look to them because they're like opals, right? So I was thinking that they might go really nicely with this. And these sequins are from the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. So if you were at my card class in the fall, in the fall we had a card class and we used some of these. This is the flip side, but they are gold on the other side. So we used some of these in one of our card classes, but there's also a sheet of sequins that come in them. And these are kind of pink. What is the name of the die that I used? Okay, so this is from Potted Succulents, this die, which is, do I have it? I don't have it in here, but you have, so you've got the pot, and this actually cuts out the succulents from the stamp set. And then you have some other succulent pieces. And the beauty of these dies is that there's also some frames for your sentiments. I could have used that for my sentiments, but I did not. And then there is the one large die that cuts out this very fine detail outline. And on the previous card, I used Flower Market. I'll bring that card back in just a moment. So I hope that helps you, Donna. So these are quite pink. The Expressions in Ink, the designer series paper has a lot of polished pink in it and stuff. So these are quite pink. Not sure. I think they might get lost on the pink, actually. So maybe we'll use some of these opals. So there are two sizes. There are smaller and larger, but they're all quite large. So I'm just going to stick one down there, and maybe we'll put another one on here. And oh, maybe I should use the bigger ones if they are bigger. Sort of looking at this going, is this two sizes? I'm pretty sure these are a little bigger than that. But no, I skied all day. Maybe my eyes aren't working so well either. Maybe we'll just throw one into the middle of some of these guys. Just because we can, because I'm on an opal roll. There we go. There we go. Look at that. So you can see we've got the opals in there. We've got our thank you. And then we've got all that beautiful blending brush behind. So there you go. So that was the second card. I'll bring the first one back in. This was the Flower Market die, and we used Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape for that. And then this one was Soft Sea Foam, Blushing Bride, and a little bit of Old Olive on that one. Okay, so how are we doing for time here? We have a few more minutes. So that was all I had planned with the die cuts and the blending brushes. Hopefully that gives you some ideas and some inspiration. And then if I can find, oh, here we go. So I, you ever noticed how you end up with lots of little strips around, strips of cardstock, strips of designer series paper, lots of little strips. And what the heck do you do with all those little strips? Well, we've done some cards in the past with strips, but here's something just a little bit different. I just did this on copy paper. So it's quite flimsy, but it's okay. You can work with it. If you wanted a little bit sturdier, you could do it on some basic white, or you could use very vanilla, either one. If you are covering it completely, the background color doesn't matter because you don't see it. But I just glued a bunch of strips, and you can probably still tell that, you know, some of them are a little bit wider, some of them are a little more narrow. They're different widths. They're just pieces that I had sitting around, and I glued them all over my piece of paper, and I let it dry, and then I cut it with, this is the Picture This die, and I didn't bring it over, but it is in the annual catalog. So you get 2 dies in it, and oh, is it annual catalog? Now that I said that, I'm thinking perhaps it is not. Let me just, is it the mini catalog? Oh gosh, again, my brain is not working, and I didn't look this one up. Usually I try to look these things up beforehand, but clearly I didn't do that tonight. So it doesn't seem like it would make sense that it was in here. I'm thinking it was maybe even the spring, the one that we had before the fall one, the spring summer one, and that's why it's not showing in either of them. But they're called Picture This, and they are still available. I sure hope they're still available. That would be terrible if I was telling you things that are untrue. Okay, I'm a big fat liar. They're in the annual catalog. Here they are right here. Picture this. So one cuts circles and one cuts rectangles. Okay, hopefully you can see that all right. So you get your background piece, and then you get all your cutout pieces. So that's what I have here. And so I did not, I was going to grab a stamp set and put some little stamps into this, but I neglected to do that. So I will just tell you, I have cut this card base size. I think that I may trim it down a little bit to just give a little bit of a border, because it looks like it's not quite large enough to cover the whole thing. And then you can just stamp different images. You could put little, you know, you could put a gem or an embellishment in some of those. You could put a sentiment in this larger one, and then you can just make a card with lots of little pop outs. You can also take all of these circles, and you can just kind of rearrange these all over your card, just kind of for fun. Just pops them up here again. Hey, you know what? You could do a bit of blender brush on the back of this, couldn't you? We could go back and add some color in the back and put some of these circles. Yeah, annual catalog. Yes, Donna. Ding, ding, ding. Donna knew. She was the one with all the information there when I did not know. It's my soggy brain. So I think that I would do that. So I'm wondering if we could just throw a little bit of color on here right now. What do we think? How are we doing? We got time. We have time. We're going to bring this back in. And okay, so this is Coastal Cabana. What do we want to put with Coastal Cabana for a color? Okay, quick. Coastal Cabana, because this is black and white, so we can use anything. What's a good it's a fun dye, Donna. It's I have used it, actually I used it on one of the cards that I sent to you in the summer. I used the rectangles and I stamped in some of those and did different things in the rectangles. Okay, what do we think? Maybe Night of Navy too dark to go with this? I don't know. Nobody's offering me any brilliant suggestions. Oh yeah, laugh with me. I just saw your comment, Lorna. Laugh with me. Yeah, it's good. I laugh at myself all the time. That's what we have to do. But I need some color options here, ladies. What do we think to go with Coastal Cabana? Do we want something something bright? I don't know whether we want a bright pink. That might be a little bit. What about red? We like red? Coastal, yeah. You know what? Coastal Cabana and real red. That might go. What I don't know, and here, look. Okay, so we're just going like hog wild, crazy, no rules here. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I put real red right onto Coastal Cabana. The two colors go together nicely. They would work well together, but I don't know what real red is going to do on, no, a wise woman. A wise woman would test this on a small piece of cardstock. This less than wise woman does not actually happen to have a small piece of cardstock just sitting at her right hand or anything. So we're just going to go for it. Here we go. Let's see. Are we ready? I'm going to move this way. Okay, it's nice and light so far. And I think it's okay. So far, I think it's okay. It's the red is definitely coloring right over the Coastal Cabana, so it's working okay. I think. Just get some a bit of color swirls going on in here, and we'll see. If it doesn't work, well, then this won't be a card. And you know, if we decide it doesn't work and then you get this card in the mail, no, you won't. Anyway, the card will work because that's what we do, right? Just a little bit of color. I don't know. We'll just start putting these guys back in here, see what we think. Okay, I'm not really sure about this. It's kind of a different sort of color, kind of sort of funny, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure, but we're going to go ahead with our real red and we are going to stamp a sentiment just so we have something to add to this to see. Grab a piece of cardstock here. And what shall we do? Okay, maybe we'll do, where did my thinking of you go? Here we are. I don't like, I always struggle whether or not to send it out. I know sometimes, but you know what, Lorna, sometimes a card that you don't like is kind of your taste and someone else gets that card and they go, oh my gosh, I love that card. And it's like, really? I didn't really like it. So everyone has different tastes and a card that you don't necessarily care for might be something that just strikes someone's fancy and they think it's beautiful. So we need to be less critical of ourselves sometimes, I find. But oh look, I did this wrong again. But anyway, we're just going to we're going to punch a blank white one. The other thing that I have learned, if you have a card that you know, you're working on it and you think you have it done and you look at it and you go, yeah, I don't really like this card. Leave it on your desk overnight and go to bed. And when you get up in the morning, take a look at it again and see what you think, because sometimes I don't know, the little design fairies come by or something, and in the morning you look at that card and it's like, oh, you know what, I like that, it's working out okay. So sometimes, as I say, we're too harsh on ourselves. So I do have some scrap bits here, but I don't have anything big enough to punch. So guess what, ladies? I'm back to the cardstock drawer. I'll return. Again. Okay. So this time we're after some real red. And let's just bring this in and we will punch a piece out of here. Oh, we have the flying cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to put this down onto the red. No. Okay, so what do we think? Is this going to work? Maybe it needed another layer for what we're doing. I don't know. Yeah, it's not really calling to me. This, now I'm looking at this blending brush going, it looks a little funky. Maybe I should have just done a layer or something. I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, a little different, little different. I do like these circles. I'm going to do something with those circles for sure, but I'm not sure I want to stick them down on there. I'm thinking perhaps we go to another card base and we put some layers down. Oh, and look, I grabbed a piece of red. We could do a red layer. Ha! And I do have my trimmer handy. Perhaps under a layer or two of stuff, but okay. Here we go. We're gonna, sorry, Mr. Red brush, we're going to abandon you. I have 1 minute to finish this. I can do it. I can do it. Okay. There. So I'm just doing a standard card layer here, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And we have our standard card base, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. See that? I cut a whole piece because I was going to make 2 cards. Then I made 0 cards. And so they were both sitting there. So if we do this as a layer, and then we put some of these on, and then, oh, now we got red on red. That's not really great. But you know what? Look, we have this piece of cardstock that we really don't need anymore. So we are going to punch a frame from here. I attached it though, didn't I? So now I'm going to do my sentiment all over. See, and this is why sometimes creating goes in a whole different direction than where you started from. And you end up with something completely different than what you thought you were going to have. Yes. Okay. Let me get this guy punched out. And we don't need to worry about the white punching because it's just into scrap. There we go. More flying cardstock. Okay, and we're going to put this one onto the Coastal Cabana. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put these on here. Some of these I'm gonna put down. I'm gonna use some adhesive and put them down flat. I can get it to roll. Here's the other reason. It doesn't roll as easily on copy paper. That's very slippery paper. It feels almost waxy. It's just printer paper. Oh, there we go. Maybe it was the operator. I'm just gonna put these on any old place. Other than, I guess I should sort of plan where I want this. Although this could go over top. I think it's, now it's gonna go over top. How many of these do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did lose one. I think one got stuck to something somewhere and I have lost it. See, because I only have 5. And I used to have 6. But that's okay. We're working with 5 now. I'm going to flip these over and we are going to put these on with dimensionals just to pop them up and do something interesting and different. You can go right there. You can go right there. And you can go right there. I think we'll pop this one up with dimensionals as well. Oh, we'll put this right down about here. Okay, and then we will put this onto our card base. Oh, and where did my opals go? We're going to put some more of these on, or some of these. So I'll just in here throw a couple around here. There we go. Look at that. That one. When in doubt, you know, add gems, rearrange things, make a different layer. It's all good, right? So there we go. So that's that. I didn't finish off this card, but hopefully I gave you a little bit of an idea what you can do with that. And since I don't have a card base anymore, I'll have to do that one after. But there is the rest of what we did this evening. Okay, so a couple of fancy die cuts, fancied up a little bit even further with the blending brushes, and then just a little fun way to use up some of your scrap strips. So I'm 5 minutes over, ladies. I apologize, but thank you so much for joining me this evening. Let me just put this back here, replace the spotlight. There we go. Look, I am back, and thank you all for joining me this evening. I will be here on Thursday at noon for lunch break. But if you're not able to join me then, I wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday. I know Hanukkah's over, and I'm not positive when Eid is, but whatever you celebrate, do it with your whole heart and enjoy it, and make the most of the season. And it's a special time of year for so many of us in so many different ways. So I hope you enjoy it. I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time for That's Fancy. Good night, everyone.